Hello, welcome. Welcome. I'm Whitney Kobrin. I'm a love coach and owner of Heart Hunters Love Coaching, and I'm so excited to talk with you today. And today we're going to be talking about a very common block to finding love. And I'm really excited about this topic because it's the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of everything that I teach the women that I work with who are looking for love and looking for a meaningful relationship. And that topic is self-love, because we really have to know ourselves deeply and love ourselves before we can find love from another person. So I'm going to share my screen with you just so you guys have a little bit of a visual as we talk about this. Let's see. Okay. So what I find is that a lot of people are actually quite confused about what self-love means. So I'm going to start out by explaining a little bit about what is not self-love. So the first thing that might come to mind when you think of self-love is when you feel good about yourself. And this could be you did well on a test, you did well at work, you met a deadline, you accomplished a goal, you stuck to something that you plan to do. And that is great. And it's wonderful when you feel good about yourself. But feeling good about yourself and your abilities is actually self-esteem, which is different from self-love. Self-esteem is wonderful when we have it, but self-esteem is actually a double-edged sword, because when you don't achieve something, when you get rejected, when you're feeling sad, when your cycle is at a place where you feel sad and you can't even control it, all of these times in our life are when we're down. And when you're down, your self-esteem is down. It's not there for you. And what's the point of having love that's not there for you when you need it? And that's the problem with self-esteem. Even further, we live in this swipe culture today where everybody's looking to get more likes, to feel more accepted, to feel better about themselves. Young girls are using filters to look completely different. They're even seeking plastic surgery to make themselves look more like their changed, filtered self. So this quest for self-esteem has taken us down a treacherous path. Self-esteem has also led to narcissism. I think we have more narcissism in our society now than possibly ever. It also leads to constant comparisons of others, because to have self-esteem, we want to feel good about ourselves, which means we want to feel better than other people. We just want to feel better. And that's a tough place to be, because you might feel better at one point, and then the next time that you compare yourself to someone else, you might be less than. And that's not self-love. External validation is also not self-love. So you might feel really good and loved when somebody else says they love you, or when someone pays you a compliment. But that's really not what we're talking about with self-love. Like I said, these two things that are not self-love, the self-esteem and external validation, are like a roller coaster, because sometimes they're up and sometimes they're down, and it can be a wild ride. Another thing that sometimes people think is self-love is when you are in those moments of feeling good about yourself, you might treat yourself to a special dinner or a weekend getaway or a piece of jewelry or some gift. And that's lovely. And it's definitely something that you can do to show your self-love, but it's not what self-love is. And on the same token, it's not bubble baths and getting your hair and nails done either. Self-care is great, which is what that is. Self-care is wonderful, and it's important to take care of yourself and to feel good about yourself, but it's not self-love. So what is self-love? First of all, it's an internal shift that happens, that you just feel love and acceptance for yourself. And the primary way that I recommend to practice self-love is self-compassion. And I'm going to stop here for a minute because we can really compare self esteem on one side and self compassion on the other and say one of these is not self love. It's not very helpful. It's great when you have it, but when it's missing, you feel even worse. But the other one, self compassion, can always be there for you. So I'm going to break that down a little bit because most people are not even familiar with this term. Most people are quite not compassionate to themselves. Most people have an internal dialogue that's rather mean. Have you ever said to yourself, "Oh, you screwed up again, you stupid person. Of course you screwed up, of course they're not going to like you. Of course you did the wrong thing. Look at the weight you've gained. You're so ugly." I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible the things that we say to ourselves. And the first step is to notice it. And if you're watching this, I would encourage you to journal. Just keep a journal for a few days and write down your self-talk. Write down the thoughts that go through your head that are aimed at yourself. And you'll probably notice this theme of having negative self-talk. So what is self-compassion? I have an acronym that I use to teach people the 3 concepts of self-compassion. Let's see, I don't have it on the slide, but I'll just share it with you. But the first one is awareness. So we have to be present and aware of the situation that's going on. We also have to be present to ourselves. So let's say that you didn't do well on a test. Could be a date. Maybe you didn't do well on a date, or you didn't do well at something at work. If you did well, your self-esteem would get a boost. You'd feel great about yourself. You'd go about your business. Wonderful. But let's say these are one of those times when you failed. You just did not get what you wanted to get out of it. The first step is to be aware, not only of the situation and the present moment, but of what's going on inside of you. And a helpful tool is to say, I have feelings of blank coming up. So you would say, I have feelings of disappointment. I have feelings of anger. I have feelings of sadness. And I use this phrasing specifically because, and I have gone through this journey too. I have gone from a place where I had a lot of negative self-talk and didn't really know what self-love was, to a place now where I've turned my inner critic into my inner cheerleader and my inner comforter, and it works a whole lot better. But we want to be aware of the emotions that we're feeling. So that's awareness. The second is kindness. We want to treat ourselves kindly, nicely. And you might have barriers to this because you experienced other people talking to you in negative ways. And so that's just what's been programmed from your parents or other family or a partner or anybody else in your life. And often our internal talk comes from external talk that we've heard, although that's not always the case. And also with kindness, you want to treat yourself like you would treat a child, because we all have, I'm sure you've heard of the inner child, and there's truth in that. We still have the part of ourselves that we had as a child that was hurt, that was broken, that was disappointed, that felt all of those same feelings. And so when we start to treat ourselves as if we were a precious child and talk to ourselves like we were a child, it can really help turn the internal dialogue around. So instead of saying, "You're so stupid, of course you messed up, you always mess up, you're such a loser," which you would never say to a child, I hope, you would say something like, "Wow, you're really disappointed. You really put a lot into that and it didn't work out. You must feel really bad right now. You feel sad." And then you would offer some comfort. So I love this image here because what she's doing is she's hugging herself, but hugging yourself is a form of soothing touch. So the key to self-compassion, which is the key to self-love, is to be able to self-soothe yourself, to not have to rely on food, alcohol, drugs, zoning out on television, or relying on somebody else to fix it. Whatever it is, most of us rely on some external force to make us happy and some external force to get us happy again when we're not happy. But the truth is we all have it within ourselves to tap into that, to keep ourselves happy or get ourselves happy, or at least to make it through the rough patches. Sometimes you're just going to be sad for a while, and that's okay too. Self-compassion, also the other piece, I said there were 3 pieces to self-compassion, is common humanity. And common humanity is 2 things. One, it's that we can feel connected to others, that we don't have to isolate, we don't have to run away or hide, but we can connect with a loved one and say, hey, I really felt disappointed and this thing happened, and get their love and support. But also with common humanity, it's nice to know that you're not alone, that other people make mistakes too, that it's in our human nature to feel the ways that we do. Our emotions are human, our mistakes are human, all of it. So that's what I mean by self-compassion. And the acronym that you can use to remember this is KACH. Which spells catch, KACH. So if you catch yourself, you give yourself kindness and awareness to what's going on around you, what's going on inside you, and remind yourself of the common humanity. Oh, this is just a failure. This will pass. Everybody goes through this sometimes. Another piece of self-love is to be able to love your unlovable parts. When you really get to know yourself and you see who you are in your essence, who you are in your beauty and your grace, you also see who you are in your shadow, who you are when you're lazy, procrastinating, mean, guarded, whatever it is. We all have these unlovable parts. It could be things that we're ashamed of, that we've been or done in our past. It could be thoughts that we have that we're embarrassed about. But there's always parts of you that we keep hidden and that we call our shadow. But putting the light on those and recognizing those and being able to own and accept and love those parts is what real self-love is. Self-love also requires that you respect your own feelings and needs at least as much as those around you, because you want to be able to speak up for your own needs and what you want and what you need and what you don't want and what you will not put up with. And sometimes you have to do that, even though you might ruffle some feathers or upset someone or not agree with somebody. We have to feel a strong enough sense of love that we would do that. And for anyone that is a parent, it's easy to love our kids. It's just part of the natural humanness of having offspring and having children. It's very natural for us to love our children, to comfort them, to practice compassion with them, to love their unlovable parts. Oh, this freckle is so cute. We don't have trouble with that, but in ourselves, we criticize and judge. Oftentimes we'll be able to stick up for our kids and go against a teacher that's not giving them a fair shot, or whatever it is. We're able to put ourselves on the line to look out for and protect those that we love. But sometimes we don't even do it for ourselves. And we really need to, because the goal is to align our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual selves with our true desires. So this is the ultimate goal of self-love is to be able to be at peace, with what you think, how you feel, how you act. You say what you're going to do and you do what you're going to say, and you stick up for your values and what you believe in and what you truly desire. And that's a place of integrity. And I don't, I really don't think that someone can get there without self-love. Even if you have a habit of pushing and motivating yourself through mean words or, oh, you're fat, you got to go to the gym, come on, let's do it. Some people do that. They think that they're motivating themselves and that this is a positive thing. But studies show, and I have researched and studied this a lot, studies show that that kind of motivation does not work. It's not motivating. And it actually causes us oftentimes to not try because we're afraid to fail. We're afraid to not meet the expectations or to not have the high self-esteem that we desire. And finally, self-love is what allows us to relax into the present moment. As a love coach, I teach women how to date and how to attract their ideal man. And what most people don't realize is that it already exists within them. There is already this glowing goddess that is so attractive and magnetic inside of you, but we're so busy hiding it, judging it, criticizing it, that we just don't let it out. So oftentimes when we learn to really love ourselves and show ourselves love, that's when we can relax and just be. And when that glowing, amazing, magnetic part of us can freely come out and attract somebody. So I would love to hear from you. If you're watching this, I would love to hear what you think about self-esteem, self-compassion, self-love, anything that we've talked about. I just created a brand new training that's on my website. So if this resonates with you, I recommend you go to my website, which is hearthunterslovecoaching.com. And there's a tab that says free training, or just go to hearthunterslovecoaching.com/training. And you'll be able to watch a free training. It's about 20 minutes long, and it includes the primary causes that women struggle in love and the shifts that they can make in order to attract their ideal man. So thank you. I hope that this has been helpful to you, and I hope that you will improve and grow your own self-love. Thank you.